Why is a hockey player holding a goalie stick? What's going on here? This hilarious moment happened during an NHL game between the Toronto and the Columbus. Goalie Elvis Merzlikins and forward Austin Matthews found themselves involved in what might be the most ridiculous penalty in league history. And it was all because they swapped sticks. In the heat of the game, Merzlikins somehow grabbed Matthews' stick, leaving him empty-handed. But Matthews kept his cool and picked up the nearest stick. Merzlikins' goalie stick. A few seconds later, realizing he was holding something closer to a paddle than a hockey stick, Matthews threw it away, as if yelling to the goalie, "Hey, what the heck are you doing with my stick?" The result? Both players were handed 2-minute penalties. Merzlikins for holding an opponent's stick, and Matthews for using illegal equipment. In the NHL, there are not only intense moments on the ice, but also episodes that become legendary, thanks to the charisma of the players. One such moment happened with Brendan Shanahan, a legendary forward of his time, known not only for his on-ice achievements, but also for his ability to stay composed. During the 2002 Stanley Cup Final, a passionate Carolina fan was taunting Detroit players who were sitting in the penalty box. She shouted cutting remarks, gestured energetically, and did everything she could to get under their skin. However, Detroit's Brendan Shanahan wasn't someone who could be easily provoked. Instead of getting angry or ignoring the mockery, he chose a completely different approach.
Brendan Shanahan had enough. Same lady on the right side. Sometimes subtlety is the best response. We haven't had Brendan back in the penalty.
It was so unexpected and ironic that the entire crowd burst into laughter. The fan clearly didn't expect her trolling to be met with such a brilliant response. Goalies are the embodiment of madness in hockey. Some, like Dominik Hasek, send forwards flying, while others, like Ron Hextall, start fights on the ice. But Tuukka Rask decided to outdo everyone with his brilliant idea, just leave the net during the most intense moment of the game. The Bruins were battling the Rangers in an action-packed showdown. Over 30 shots on goal from each team, 50 hits, and nerves stretched to the limit, with the score tied at 2-2. And then our hero Rask, watching this hockey drama unfold, suddenly decided the Bruins were losing.
He was going to the bench. I'm convinced he must have thought there was a goalie penalty. And the bench is like, Tuukka, get back there! Get back there!
But a few seconds later, Tuukka realized he'd miscounted the goals and hurried back to the crease. Meanwhile, his teammates on defense stood there with expressions that clearly said, "What was that?" trying to cover the empty net. Luckily for Boston, no one managed to score during that moment. Otherwise, Tuukka would have had to deal with more than just an earful from the coach. In a game against the Anaheim, Washington Capitals right winger Tom Wilson found himself in a hilarious situation. At a 3-3 tie, he swung his stick so hard that it got stuck in a tiny gap between the protective glass panels of the arena. Right as the opponents went on a counterattack, Wilson tried to pull the stick out, but it was no use. That's when a fan named Caroline stepped in to help. Without hesitation, she used her smartphone as a makeshift hammer to dislodge the stuck stick. She couldn't free it, but what dedication to the team. Unfortunately, her old smartphone didn't survive the ordeal and broke. Later, the team rewarded the devoted fan with a brand new iPhone 13 to replace her sacrificed device. She also received a signed jersey and stick from Tom Wilson himself. As for the stick, it remained wedged in the gap between the protective panels for almost the entire game. Disputes between hockey players and referees are commonplace, especially when a player feels a call is unfair. But it's rare to witness a player admit they were wrong after watching a replay. A memorable incident occurred during the 2015 season in a game between the Minnesota Wild and Winnipeg Jets. Alexander Burmistrov was penalized for elbowing, and to say the least, he strongly disagreed with the call. Emotions flared, and he called the decision nonsense, implying the referee was entirely off the mark. The twist came when the replay was shown on the arena's big screen. As the video played, Burmistrov froze. The footage clearly showed his elbow connecting with an opponent at full speed. His expression shifted from outrage to realization. Yeah, maybe the ref was right. Fans couldn't get enough of his reaction. Burmistrov, now grinning, nodded toward the referee as if to say, "All right, you got this one right." The history of the NHL knows many moments when a hockey player scored in his own net without wanting to. In the middle of the third period, the score was tied and it looked like it was going to overtime. However, Patrick Laine was against it. Something snapped in his head for a moment, and he finished the moment as if he was playing for the Oilers himself.
Now for Letestu, wide, steps into a shot, big rebound! Patrick
Laine immediately realized what he had done, after which he began throwing paraphernalia. Jets captain Blake Wheeler held the hapless rookie in his arms for a long time. In such a situation, of course, his partners could not criticize him publicly. A few days later, Laine said in an interview that his teammates asked him to forget that goal and move on. On March 22, 2018, Carolina Hurricanes goaltender Cam Ward scored what might be one of the most bizarre own goals in hockey history. The game was between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Arizona Coyotes, with just over 11 minutes left in the first period. Arizona defenseman Alex Goligoski made a simple dump in into the opposing zone, and Ward skated out of the crease to collect the puck. But then, something unexpected happened. The puck seemingly disappeared. No one knew where it had gone until a referee discovered it had wedged itself into Ward's skate. As Ward skated back to the crease, he unknowingly carried the puck over the goal line.
There's that puck. Cam Ward went back to stop that puck, and the puck was right in his skate.
After reviewing the play, the officials, to everyone's surprise, counted it as a goal. Goligoski was credited with the point, since he was the last opposing player to touch the puck. Fortunately for Ward, the own goal didn't determine the game's outcome. Carolina still emerged victorious with a 6-5 score. Matthew Tkachuk, the most hated player in the NHL. This sentiment resonates not just among fans, but also among players. Sneaky hits, provocations after the whistle, and relentless psychological warfare. This is Matthew's trademark. If you thought Brad Marchand was the dirtiest player, think again. Matthew respects no authority and somehow manages to frustrate even the most intimidating opponents. Take, for example, his clash with Brent Burns from the San Jose. Burns, whose fearsome appearance could unnerve anyone under 25, wasn't immune to Tkachuk's antics. During a regular season game, Matthew confiscated Burns' stick.
And not the smartest play, but that is a 19-year-old rookie mistake.
Returning it right away? Too simple for Matthew. It's much more memorable to take a 2-minute penalty and leave the crowd buzzing. And how did this skirmish end? With humor and sportsmanship. Burns, recognizing Matthew's unique style, signed the stick and left a note. Hope this stick helps you block my shots. During a game between the Saints Louis Blues and the Ottawa Senators, there was a funny and unusual moment on the ice. Blues forward Ivan Barbashev, after an awkward fall, lost a skate blade, leaving him unable to stand or skate. With no teammates nearby, he began crawling towards the bench for a change. Sometimes, help comes from unexpected places. In this case, the referee stepped in to assist.
From the referee now. There he is. He made it.
Without hesitation, the ref gave Barbashev a push, helping him reach the bench before smoothly returning to his officiating duties. This gesture surprised and amused the fans, as it's not something you see every day in hockey. This is every hockey player's nightmare. In the NHL game between the Nashville Predators and the Toronto Maple Leafs, fans witnessed not only an exciting game with 4 goals, but also a truly bizarre moment. Near the end, with Toronto down 1-3, they pulled their goalie, giving Nashville's Craig Smith the perfect chance to make it 4-1. Everything seemed lined up for an easy goal, but somehow, Smith managed to flip the puck over the open net.
On it for Smith, and Smith into the empty net.
Empty net goals are usually a breeze, but this miss caught everyone by surprise, including Smith himself. He seemed a bit disappointed, but at least it happened on home ice, where Nashville fans are always there to support their players, even in the most unexpected situations.